Hello gorgeous girl, welcome back to my channel, and today I've got something a little bit different and really special. This is going to be the first of a new series called Champagne Girl Talks. So I'm interviewing my friend and an amazing author, Susie Moore, and she's got a new book coming out called Stop Checking Your Likes. Hello, if you're new here, I'm Tracy. I put up brand new fitness, wellness, and lifestyle videos every single week. So if you haven't already, please do make sure to subscribe to my channel, and everyone make sure that you click on that bell icon so you always know when I have a brand new video that goes live. So like I said, this is going to be a new series where I bring on authors, thought leaders, and experts, basically just really cool women that I know that I want you to know. So I'd love to get some feedback from you to hear if you like this new format and what your thoughts are. So with all of that said, let's get started with my super fun Champagne Girl Talk with Susie Moore.
Okay, so I am so excited. This is my dear friend and amazing person, author, Susie Moore is with us today.
Tracy, I love being in Miami with you, even though we're quarantined right now. To see your face just on Zoom just brings me joy.
It's kind of crazy. So I had a vision for this, that you and I would be on my sofa, and we'd be having a glass of champs, and just having girl talk. So I told Susie, have a glass of something. Cheers, my love.
Cheers. Cheers to everybody. We need a little help at the moment.
So, okay, so the new book,
Yes.
Stop Checking Your Likes. This book is amazing. So, I will leave a link down below. Everyone, absolutely, you have to get this book. It's fantastic. Susie, I'd love to just hear a little bit, people aren't already familiar with you and they should be. Tell us a little bit about your story and why you do what you do.
Yes, okay, so this book has been, I just spoke to somebody who said, how long did it take to write? And I'm like, well, 36 years. Because, it takes, really a lifetime to accumulate, the knowledge that you have, which you then feel is worthy to share with others because it can be of use to others. But essentially, I grew up in the UK, a very dysfunctional family, addiction, mental illness. We moved around a lot. We lived on welfare. We don't call it that in the UK, but that's the American term. We had a very unusual life. We lived in shelters for a period. And then when I was 18, I left. I moved to Australia, got married, then divorced, married again, moved to the US. And with all the, the life changes and shifts and various experiences, kind of unusual experiences, I think I've learned a few things along the way in terms of bouncing back, being resilient, and still, even in a time right now where there's not a lot we can control, focusing on what we can control and just trusting your intuition.
I love it. Oh my gosh. And what a time, did you ever think that we would be where we are right now?
It's unthinkable. Even a month ago, this is unthinkable. So again, it shows there's not a lot really that we can control out there, right? Which is why our inner world is so important.
And why this book is actually so, I was telling Susie, really candidly before we started recording this, I was like, I'm just devouring this book right now. It is the perfect timing. It's such a good reminder of really what we can control, and it is, inside. So, okay, so we are practicing social distancing. Okay, so you might not know that Susie and I are neighbors. So close yet so far. And, like I said, we had to sort of change how we're going to do this interview. And social media right now is super active, super active. Obviously, I'm in the wellness space, and it's everybody's sharing so much, and there's just this major energy, which is awesome. So much collaboration, so many really good, wonderful things that are coming out of this. Yeah. And I think it's also, it can trigger a lot of people right now because, number one, we're having these emotional responses to what's happening in the world, feeling sort of like our foundation is on shaky ground, and couple that with the fact that there's so much activity on social media, I feel like there's a little bit of that comparison-itis that can be happening right now. And you kind of talk a little bit about that in the book. And I'll tell you, one of the problems that I often have is I have this inner mean girl that tells me you should be doing more, you should be doing more, you should be doing more. So Susie,
well,
I'll drink.
Yes, we'll drink to this. Well, what I think is so interesting, after coaching so many people and writing countless articles, right, around confidence and self-approval and living, you know, self-directed life, I know that all of our fears, our emotions, our reactivity and thoughts and feelings around things that we see, they're universally the same. Right. So we're, as human beings, we're all like equal, but not the same, right? We have different experiences, different lives. But I think a lot of our fears and a lot of how we interpret the world, especially the online world, you know, our responses are very similar. We can feel not good enough. We can feel behind. We can feel shame if we haven't got a certain area of our life figured out, and people are, you know, so fit online, or they seem to have, you know, have lots of money, or they have a great relationship, or like a child. I mean, it's what we see out there is, you know, first of all, it's not the full truth, no matter who you are, right? We don't see like the full story or the full experience of anyone's life on any feed ever, no matter how open they are. We don't see the truth. And when it comes to comparing, you're never alone if you're doing this. But I think it's valuable to understand that comparison can have its useful place in your life. There can be people, so for example, if you're looking at somebody and you think, gosh, they're so much farther ahead than me, they have it all figured out. There's always a choice to have a bit of a reframe when you think, you know, what is this person maybe showing me is possible for me? And I know that a lot of people who I used to envy, I used to always envy self-help authors with books out year after year. And I'd be like, oh, there she is again. Like, and I'd be like, what is this crap she's coming out with? You know? And I'd be like secretly like a little bit resentful, you know, or not so secretly. And then I'm like, well, this is just showing me that people like my age, you know, people who've been through experiences, not the same as mine, but they've been through experiences, they're writing about it, they're helping, they're really serving. Maybe this is just useful information that I can take. Maybe there's something useful here for me. Not always, right? But maybe there's something useful. And when it comes to comparison, this expression, the inferiority complex, we use it in the wrong way. It actually it really means so all humans have one to some capacity, but they can be actually healthy if we're comparing ourselves with our ideal self. And the people that we see online, the people that we envy, they can actually help us see who our ideal self could be. So sometimes I even think if I have an envy feeling or like a little uncomfortable feeling, I'm like, what is it that maybe I want here? Or what is this maybe just showing me?
I love that. That's so good. Such a good reframe. You know, I often will say, like, if you feel that trigger, you know, like we all know the saying, or maybe you don't. And if you don't, now you do. It's like, you know, if we want a better life, we ask better questions. And so when we feel that, and it happens to be like, I'm being totally honest here, guys. Like I have this happens to me too, where it's like, I'll be like, she got featured in what again? Yes. She's, you know, she's partnered with blah, blah, blah influencer, you know, doing something. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. And it's like, if I feel it for me, it's like, it'll be this like pit in my stomach. It's like, okay, what is this telling me? It's telling me something I actually want. That's good.
That
right?
is good.
It's good information.
And Tracy, I will tell you that there are people out there looking at your videos with millions of views and looking at your like gorgeous like style and way of putting out content and feeling that about you.
Yeah.
So we forget that too. And it doesn't just mean if you're an online personality with a following, like someone will think that you're an amazing like parent, right? Or someone will think that maybe you're just so good at talking to your children about financial literacy, right? Or maybe you have this natural ability to calm down a situation, right? We're so focused on other people's strengths that we just forget like how much we have, like the gems within us. Absolutely. And I think if we just like shine a bit more of a light on what we can do and, you know, our contribution and what's great about us, we're allowed to like ourselves, right? To celebrate ourselves, to celebrate who we are, like what we can do. Then a lot shifts when you kind of take the attention off and you put it inside.
You know, it's okay. So when we met, it was love at first sight. I'm just
yes, it was.
So when we first met, I remember I think I was exactly 3 months after having my daughter. I was in that very like, what is going on? And there was a part of me that was like, I was just about to start working after, maybe I don't remember, but like I was just about to start going back into my business after having some time off. And I remember we met, you know, we were set up with your friend and, and I remember you looked at me you there's something similar, and it's a quality that you have, I believe, Susie, which is an amazing quality. And you looked at me and you just said, you know what, you're doing a great job. And I was like, oh, thanks, you know, and you were like, no, you're doing a great job. And it's like, I will never in my life forget that. Like, you know, I so needed to hear that. There's a logical part of my brain that was like, I'm doing a great job. I know that I'm doing a great job. And there's that other part. It's like, am I doing a good job? Am I doing enough? I'm about to start working. And there was so much. And you share a story inside of your book and about meeting this woman in an elevator.
Oh.
And do you remember the story? And it's so good. It's she, you know, can you share a little bit about it? It's like her kid was in that, like, asking a lot of questions, you know. And
yes.
and I love the positioning that you have around this. It's super powerful, and I think moms need to hear this.
My mom was a single mom with 5 girls. Like, I respect, like, to be a parent. I mean, there's no more difficult, like 24/7 work.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was a lady who used to live in my building in New York, and she had this really inquisitive kid, and he'd always ask, you know, why do people have umbrellas with different colors? Why are those windows black on that car? Why? And she was so patient in answering all these questions. Like, my mom was tired and depressed. She'd be like, there was not like an answer, you know. So sometimes, you know, I had this longing, this feeling, you know, of going, oh my God, like this mom, she's interested, she's engaging. And I didn't see it much, but I observed it. And one time when I was opening the mail, we were at the mailbox together, and I said, you know what, you seem like a really great mom, right? It was, I had to say it. I think that if we see something beautiful, we should speak it, right? If we all did that, we'd have a lot of compliments every day. Not that we need them, but why not share them, right?
Yeah.
And her response surprised me because she cried.
Yeah.
Like, she said, no one tells moms they're doing a good job. You know, like, at work you hear it. Like, my husband gets his, you know, his pat on the back. She's like, no one tells you. Like, no one sees it. No one sees all the behind the scenes stuff that you do. And I mean, I only saw a little bit of her engagement with her child, but it just, yeah. I mean, I thought, this woman, like, she needs to know. And the thing is, not everyone, it has to be our responsibility at a point to encourage ourselves. So yes, thank you, Tracy, for sharing that. And look, people do say that I'm a nice encourager, right? And often they'll call me if they're feeling a bit, you know, bit low or, you know, a bit unsure. But the reason I'm a good encourager is because I encourage myself first, right?
Everybody hear what she just said. She encourages herself first. That's huge.
And you know what? I think it's very generous to encourage yourself first. And it's actually the opposite of the ego, because the ego will have you think, oh, I'm not good enough. Someone's better, which allows you to be hidden, meaning you don't have to open yourself up for criticism. Oh, look at your ego thinking you're being humble, right? You're not, because you're not actually making a contribution if you're hiding.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because from other story I share in the book is, after I did a talk once, I met a friend for a drink, and she's like, how did it go? And I said, you know, I think I was great, actually. I think it was great. And that's how I felt. I thought it went well. It wasn't even based on feedback because I had to rush. But I remember she actually texted me a little while after that saying, you know how you said that you did a good job? And I said, yeah. She said, it made me realize how I never give myself any credit ever. I would never say that. I would never cut myself a bone, or whatever the expression is, like give myself a bread, you know.
Throw myself a bone, I think.
Throw myself a bone, yeah, whatever. But I was like, well then, let me be an example of that to you.
Yeah.
And so, and even though it sounds like, I'm not like, oh, I'm the best speaker, oh, I'm the best, you know what, if something feels good and it feels, if I feel like I'm telling the truth, then that's good. And we need real life role models who can show us what we're allowed to say and think about ourselves. And criticizing myself, I mean, at least out loud, isn't something I'm interested in doing.
No, and freaking men to that, because, you know, we as women, we really can be so hard on ourselves, you know, so hard on ourselves. And that's the easy route. And I love that you said, you know, you're not making a contribution if you're hiding. I don't know, for me, I was like, boom, that landed. That landed hard. You know?
Right.
Because it's like, yeah, like, you know, one of my goals in life is to contribute to the world and to make the world a better place. And, you know, one of my huge values is I want to show women like an example of what's possible. What's possible for them, right? And I know it's like, and if I'm kind of, you know, half-assing it, I can't do that.
Exactly. And one thing that I love, that I saw you posted once, it was like body after baby, sharing it, talking about your age. That's very generous.
Yeah.
There'll be people who'll be like, who won't like it, right?
Yeah.
Plenty of people have opinions on not liking me. That's
Yeah.
okay, right? That's not my business.
Yeah.
But what, like, this is, how do we learn, right? How do we get, like, what inspires us? It's not stories of people who are still waiting to go for it, right? Or,
Right.
you know, scratching around, looking at thin air for inspiration. Like, we need people who've done the thing that we want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it. And it's like, and it's not the person that's like, I waited until it was perfect and then I did it. It's like,
right.
you don't know, you know, and you talk about that in the book. It's like the
Yes.
people we admire, they honestly don't know what they're doing half of the time. You just do it.
It's completely true. And perfectionism isn't even about high standards, right? This is what we'll believe. We'll think, oh yeah, perfectionism, what a nice kind of word and association. No, it's not about high standards. It's about failure anxiety. And if you're a perfectionist, you're probably operating at around a 5 because you won't take risks, you won't ask for help. And if you're willing to take risks and ask for help, you could probably be producing better quality, more volume, but you're a failure to, you know, the fear of failure is keeping you actually far more perfect than you actually could be, which is the irony of all of this.
Totally. Oh, I love that. Gosh, this is good.
But you're right. Nobody knows what they're doing. And I've interviewed some pretty cool people. I've interviewed Sarah Blakely, Kris Jenner, Ariana Huffington. I mean, they're very humble in terms of saying, I don't know I don't have the answers. I started with nothing. You know, just go. This is what I want to say. Tracy, people get confidence wrong, right? They think, if you think about what is a confident person, right? Often you'll think about like a speaker on a stage. Often it's a man, right? Or you'll think about some like charismatic, chatty dinner party guest who dominates, you know, or look, whatever your image is. And those people may be confident. But confidence is even simpler than that. And it's even more quiet. It is simply the ability to be willing to experience negative emotion. That's it.
Breathe that in. Everybody breathe that in.
That's it. Like, if you're willing to be rejected, embarrassed, uninvited, you know, shut down, if you're willing for that to be what happens and for that to live in your body for a while, it won't kill you, it will pass, then this word unstoppable is a bit dramatic, but what can't you do then?
Yeah.
If you're willing to be bad at something new, willing to be wrong, having the courage to not be liked or great at something, just rejected, you will do a lot of things. You will do 3 million times more than the average person who will do anything to prevent themselves from pain.
That's so huge. Okay, so this is one of the things I wanted to talk about. So I'm Italian. I'm very fiery. Like, I'm the nicest person until I'm not, you know, like just, you know, like I'm like, life is amazing. Like, I love you. And then I'm like, I'll kill you. So there's that. If you didn't know, that's the truth.
I can't wait to see it in action one day. I'm sure it'll be very entertaining.
I mean, I've definitely calmed it down now that I'm in my 40s, but when I was in my 20s, it was like not a good thing. However, so in the book, one of my favorite parts of the book thus far is the chapter on so what. This is so good. So, okay, so when we put ourselves out on social media, you know, and I know anyone watching this, you are a person that has big dreams, has big goals, you want to make a difference in the world. You wouldn't be watching this if you didn't, right? So you're a powerful person. And part of that comes with when we put ourselves out there, you know, it's so easy for people to be, you know, keyboard warriors and to type all these like, you know, messages and say all these things about us. So I tend to, it's funny, like obviously the longer you do it, you know, so there's a philosophy of like, yay, you got your first negative comment. It actually means like you're doing something. You're making a difference in the world. You're showing up. And I actually do agree with that. It's like, yay, good. You got your first, like you sent out an email and someone, you know, gave you like a nasty comment. Like, please unsubscribe me. It's like,
it happens to me every time. Yeah.
Yeah, like all the time, right? However, I think there's a difference between you and I, and it's something that I aspire to be. Because I tend to be like, well, I don't care what you think about me. And like, like, you know, like I'm good. I'm good with myself. And your philosophy is so much more elegant. So
Oh.
can you talk, it truly is, you know, that not to say that Susie doesn't have fire, but you're definitely, when I was reading it, I was like, gosh, she has such an elegance about her. Whereas there's still a little bit of that like scrappy little Italian. So can you talk about that?
And look, that's okay, right? There's no right or wrong way to live your life or how to behave, as long as you're not hurting other people. And when people hurt us, in A Course in Miracles, it says every action is either a demonstration of love or a call for love. And if somebody is attacking you, and I mean, I talk in the book about how this chapter starts with somebody saying that I look like a man on my YouTube channel, and how upset I was by that, and how I called someone and had a rant. But like, really, when you think about it, like Tracy, it's like, I mean, my response is actually lazier than yours. Like yours requires some energy, right? And we only have a certain amount of emotional energy per day. And if somebody who doesn't know me, who often wouldn't even put their real name, has an opinion, I don't know, it feels like absurd for me to care. Like, so what? I mean, okay, right? I have every right to create my content. You have every right to your opinion on that. So what? Like, I feel as if it's actually me loving myself by not exerting too much, which is look, it doesn't feel nice when anyone says anything mean. And like I said, I always get, whenever I send any email, I always get at least one mean response. But there may be a couple of exceptions over the years, but it happens always. So every time, am I going to like be angry? Like, am I going to set that person straight? One time my mom set somebody straight online to me. I was like, oh God. Right. But, I mean,
funny.
People kind of really deserve our compassion, I think, at the end of it. Or like, think about, have you ever left a mean comment on someone's video or ever? Sometimes I'll say, you know, I would add to this, right, or something, but no. And so think of how you'd have to feel. Like, how would you have to feel to go around criticizing somebody's looks or criticizing someone's weight? Hurt people, right? So I feel like it's someone trying to be important, somebody like seeking love, someone seeking some type of validation, or just to bring someone down to how they're feeling. And that's like a sad thing, which our higher selves want to show compassion for, I think.
Yeah. It's a good reminder though, connecting to your highest self, you know, and that version of you that is loving. And, you know, since having my daughter, it's been really interesting because for myself, I'm like, like there's a mission in me that's just greater. There's like a fire in me to like show up and share more and to make a difference. And that's gotten so much greater since having Lucci. And there's also this other part of me that as her mom, I'm like, if someone says something mean to her or about her, like I already told my husband, I'm like, who between the two of us, like my husband's definitely the nicer one.
He's so calm. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Sweetheart, he's just like always on like, you've got to be in charge. Like if, God forbid, and it will happen. She's going to have her own journey.
It will happen.
My reaction now is like her mom, I see this perfect, creature, and I'm like, I will murder someone. Try to be mean to her. And so that's when Daddy has to take her, because he's
right.
Right.
Well, it's natural to protect the people that we love, right? And especially as a mother, like the instinct, it is real. It's so real. It's natural.
Yeah.
But I think it's inevitable. She'll have suffering, right? You can't escape life without whatever it is. And I think sometimes we forget that like life isn't like making it through unscathed, did it, dead, whoa, go me, right? Like that's not the goal, right? There's this like rich life experience which involves so many things. And one thing, so my parents are very interesting and certainly unusual, but I feel as if ever anyone said anything to me that was nasty or I was upset, my mom actually didn't have that much sympathy. She had this feeling of like she grew up in Poland, like they had nothing, and so I think her lack of sympathy for me whenever I had maybe someone say something mean at school actually really helped me.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, let's talk about it. Let's talk to the school. It was like we tend to follow the lead. right?
Yeah.
And if someone brushes it off, who's your role model, then we kind of follow suit. And I actually think too, because we were poor, we had donations from the church. My mum's lack of sympathy for that. She was never like, I'm so sorry, I wish I could give you more. Never. She was like, this is it, you have enough. You're lucky, you know, you live in England. Like, I mean, I have no self-pity at all. Like, and I think that was actually useful. And so I think about that too. And if someone comes to me with a problem, I typically don't have well, I care, right? But my response isn't let's go deep into it and let's talk about it. I see them at their highest. Like, so I'm like, I know who you are. Like, this is okay. You're going to be okay. Like, I'll hold the space, but I won't go into the details of the problem.
Have you always, so that's one of the things, like, you know, anytime I spend time with you, I'm like, she's such a light, like, you just, you know, like, we have our love fest texts.
Yes, we do. And I love them. Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, you're just such a bright, shining light, and just, you make the world a better place. You just do. You are that person. You have that amazing quality. But like, did you cultivate that, or is that just how you showed up in the world?
I think that my instincts, and we should trust our instincts. Like, I think if there's any message, like for my book, it's really that, like, to trust yourself, like your inner wisdom. I think that, you know, I trust my emotions, right? So if someone's talking about something and it's kind of getting ugly, right? Whatever it is, their experience, my experience, I'm not feeling good, right? Like that's like data for me. And I'm like, I'm not going to stay on this path then. I need a little redirect. So, and even though there can be soothing and healing, depending on who you are and what you've been through in sharing and talking, I think that there's a point where that has to stop. Like going into it, reliving. It's actually like continuing a past experience when our power is always going to be in the present moment. And so I feel like instinctively I just trusted my feelings, and feeling bad doesn't feel good. And so I will always choose something else. I will always choose like a better feeling idea or a different solution, or I'll redirect my mind into something else. But I'm very conscious about choosing to feel good as much as I can, because it's never going to be 100%, but what I can control, I'll take it. And I mean, that's one of the great joys about being human, right? The freedom that we have to do that, which we very easily abdicate by being reactive, listening to a lot like of news, consuming social media all the time, and frankly just going there in conversations that like aren't actually helpful. So I think I trust my feelings, and I know that feeling good is also, when you feel good, that's when you're generous, it's when you're kind, it's when you're creative, and why not choose that place as your default?
I love that. Such a good reminder. It's like, it seems it's very simple. It's not always easy, and it can be done. It is a choice. It is a choice, you know?
It is a choice. And when you think about it, even if you're kind of angry and there's some power in that for a while, it doesn't really feel good. It's easy to feel loving.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I know. So I had a situation, probably like when I was pregnant. So like now it was like probably a good year ago. And I was like, you know, hormonal, and I just wanted to be right. Like, and I'm not usually like that. And, you know, and so I'm not making excuses for the pregnancy, but it did sort of make sense, because I was like, that's not really how I am. And it was like this kind of, you know, message exchange. And I thought about it after, and I was like, and even though, you know, I did feel like there was some validity to how I was feeling, if I was in the right mindset, I would have just let it go. Or I would have said, hey, this thing didn't feel good. And I probably wouldn't have had these like subtle digs. Right. But the good news is that, like, I was taking a walk, you know, and we were chatting before. It's like taking a walk, being in nature, like clearing your mind, doing these like small, simple things that make a huge difference. And it just popped in my head, and it was like, apologize to her. Like apologize to her, and like out of the blue, I was like, I didn't try to rehearse it. It was just like, hey, you know, I just want to let you know, like, I really value you as a friend, and I'm sorry, and I don't think I was right in that, and you know, so, and I was just like, I just want to keep my side of the street clean, you know, and it felt so good to do that, because, you know, I was like, I don't know if we'll be friends. I don't know how she would react, but it was like, at least I was just releasing that instead of holding on to that need to be right.
Yeah, it isn't feeling good, the guide, right? Like, and when you think about it, when you're in your best mood, right? And I don't mean like a fake high because you've been retail shopping or whatever, but like when you're in a good mood, when you feel like calm and you feel like, you know, your steadiness, then think about like how you behave in those moments, right? We're not mean, right? We're forgiving, right? We're patient, and hey, no one's perfect. Emotions that we're human, but I always think if like what's the best version, like my ideal self, like responding, it's normally doing nothing or doing something that's kind. And I think that's wonderful that, you know, we get rewarded for the kind things, and we know like something very deep and ancient within us knows that that's the right thing.
So
right?
true.
We know it. We all do. And that's why kind things can move us.
Yeah. I think that right now, because there is just so much uncertainty and all of these things, it's such a good reminder. It's like, even if your world is in your four walls of wherever you are right now, how are you showing up? You know, are you focusing on like, I can't go outside and the kids are here, you know, all these things. And like, while it might be true, it's like, okay, asking yourself, like, what is the blessing inside of this? You know, and what does my higher self, how is she showing up, or he showing up? But it's probably all she here, right? well,
very cool dudes. Yeah.
Like, how is she showing up in the world? Like, what a great question to ask yourself. I mean, you know, you're inspiring me. It's like every morning when I wake up, I try to not have the first thing be like, let me get on the phone and do all the things, you know, and so I'll like feel myself starting to wake up, and it's like, and then I'll kind of like, you know, go through like gratitude, like just being gratitude for another day. We went to
yes, I know. I know.
And which seems like a million years ago now. And it's like, you know, and that was one of the things that she was saying. And it was like, okay, like she said, thank God for another day.
Starting the day.
First starts her day, you know, and I don't know, these small, simple things really make a huge difference.
You know, yeah. And I mean, it's funny because it's almost like impossible to be negative if you remember that, right? Just the miracles of like the fact that we're alive, right? Think about all the things that had to happen for you to be alive right now, how your parents met, how their parents met, to go through the whole like experience, come out, like to be here now. I mean, it's almost like to be like too critical or heavy or unhappy is ungrateful, right? It's kind of missing the miracle that this is, like a lifetime. And sometimes it's hard to even take that step back because we're so into like the day-to-day, just trying to pay the visa bill and not burn, you know. I get it, like we're all busy humans, but don't we just need to sit back, like even just for a minute a day, just remember the miracle that all of this is. And I mean, yes, gratitude, excited, all of those things, but even just like remembering, like
here, like right now in this moment, you know, like it's true. It's so in these times, right? It's being able to say like, we're here right now. Like how grateful I am to just be here in my office, talking with you, like sharing this message. It's still a beautiful sunny day out. Like I have like, and then when we start focusing on those things, it's like we can feel the energy, the vibration just getting higher and higher and higher. Yes. That's not you're gonna be like, you look like a man. You know, like that's not the version that shows up like that, or you know, saying something, you know, kind to someone, or focusing on, you know, whatever.
And I feel as if, you know, as human beings, like our obligation is to maximize, right, what we've been given, right, because we've all been equipped with different things. And then I mean, look, this isn't, I swear I'm the only person who says it. I hope there are more people who say it, and I'd love to discover you, but I put a real focus on having fun in my life, like a lot of pleasure, like a lot of pleasure, a lot of fun, spontaneity, like being playful. It's not just hustle, strive, you get it done, you know. And look, I work, I love work, you know, and I produce that amount that I'm happy with, but that's what, I don't live for that. Like I feel if we're not having a positive experience, like, and I mean like laughing for no reason, like whatever it is, like that's kind of the point, isn't it?
I mean, this is like, that's one of my, that's mine. Like one of my, people weight loss, which let's be honest, that could be like, ugh, I have to like eat, you know, crappy food I hate, do workouts that I hate, do all this stuff. And I'm like, no, why would you sign up for that? Why? would you sign up for that? That's not what this is about.
Right.
You know? And, I always like those sayings, like, you get to take a stand for the and, it's like, okay, I get to have like a body that I love and a life that I want. I get to have a business that lights me up and to connect with like amazing people. It's like, I get to be 45 and feel like we get to create this life that we're on. And I got to tell you, like, I swear, I feel like this is like a guidebook.
Oh,
like, I'm not, listen, this is an advanced copy. This is no BS. I don't know if you can see dog-eared. 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 I have like written in it, like, I mean, like, it's a fabulous, fabulous book. So thank you for putting this out into the world. And you guys should all get this too. So I will leave the link down below. Susie, I just love you so much. Thank you for being the light you are in the world.
Oh my God, I love this conversation. And thank you for having me as part of your world and your fab channel here with your people. And yeah, I mean, if there's anything that I would just say to wrap up, I'd be like, just to remember that you're allowed to have everything that you want, and it's allowed to be easier than you think. And remember that like fun is also a really valuable goal.
Absolutely. That is the goal. I think that is the goal. Right? Like,
it's my goal. Are we having fun right now?
I'm having fun right now. But clearly, like, fun is the goal, right?
Yes.
And creating the life that you want, the business that you like, that you love, the relationships that you want, like all of that. Like, it is, enjoying the process of getting there.
And you're allowed to have all the things that you want to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Mwah.
Wasn't that so fun? I loved interviewing Susie, and honestly, the book is absolutely fantastic. So I will leave the book linked down below in the description box so that you can grab your copy as well. So like I said, this is a new format for me. I'm trying something new, just, wanting to mix things up a little bit because that's what we do here as women. So I'd love to hear your feedback. Do you like, these interviews? And if you have suggestions of who you'd like to see next, definitely leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. All right, guys, that's what I've got for you today. You are awesome, and I will see you next time. Bye.